Hey Fam on a Budget fans, it's Lindsay, and today we're going to be doing something new, something special, and something very different from my usual routine, so I hope you all enjoy. Check it out! Only love and music are forever. But also the internet. I mean, the internet's pretty much forever. And also diamonds, and... Okay, so for those who haven't figured it out yet, today we're going to be doing the makeup from the 1989 film version of the Family Opera, starring Robert Englund, also known as Slasher Phantom. Yeah! I need an adult. So one aspect about this movie that makes it pretty interesting from a makeup perspective, but also from the gore perspective too, is the fact that instead of covering up his disfigurement conventionally, Eric, spoiler alert, skins his victims alive, right, and then stores it, and then sews it to his face, covers it up with some Maybelline, and then goes out. Yeah, it's good. So all kidding aside, really, this version of Phantom is actually pretty interesting, and a lot of fans, again, do kind of like it, because I'll give credit where credit is due. Robert Englund's pretty amazing. The rest of the movie, yeah, it could have some good points and its bad points, but Robert Englund's pretty fantastic, and it's worth a watch. So if you haven't seen it yet, check it out, and enjoy. And I will say this too, like, it has one of the very few somewhat LaRue accurate graveyard scenes. So, looking at you, Andrew Lloyd Webber. Look, I look pretty. I don't look like an ugly dude. You know what? I like to think of it not as being late for Halloween 2015, but just being really on the ball for 2016. So, you're welcome. Alright, so today we're going to be doing this look primarily with the use of special effects gelatin, which if you don't know how to use gelatin, check out my website, phantomonabudget.com. Under the makeup section, there's a whole page dedicated to gelatin, where you can buy the special effects version of it ready to use, or if you want to make it yourself, this is one of the very few products or materials that you can actually make from scratch at home. So you can pick up the materials from a local drugstore and local grocery store, mix it together, and create your own special effects gelatin. So again, if you need the recipe or you need links to sites to buy it, check out phantomonabudget.com right there, and specifically the gelatin page, and it will talk you through where to get it or how to make it, and also go into more detail about how to apply it, paint it, and different uses you have for it. So gelatin is going to be our primary material today. However, you can also recreate this look using silicone. So for those that want to make the step up to silicone, something like Platsil Gel 10 or Monster Paste, different products that are out there today. Silicone, again, usually comes in a part A and a part B mixture, so you have to mix them together 50-50. And then if you want the rubber to be softer, you just add a deadener to it, which is a third element that you have to mix into the ratio, which can be tricky. That's probably the most difficult part of using gelatin, is the fact that you have to mix it and get the ratios just right, because if you don't, it won't set, and then it's really just a mess. So, but that's silicone, but we're not going to do that today because we're going to use gelatin. But it's basically the same effect if you use silicone. So, just saying. And if you don't have gelatin or silicone, you can do liquid latex. That's fine too. But here we go, because we're going to go get to the tutorial. And for the ladies out there, you got to take your girl face off to go put your man face on. So that's what I'm going to go do. Take the girl face off. Okay, so to do the Robert Englund Slasher Phantom makeup, you're going to need a few things that are basic. A lot of the stuff that you see is kind of extra, but your main material is going to be special effects gelatin. So we talked about this in one of my more recent tutorials about pulling gelatin prosthetics. So if you're not familiar with gelatin, go check that out. And again, read my webpage on it to see where you can buy it pre-made, like this, or you can make it yourself using Knox gelatin and glycerin, which is over there, sorbitol, and you mix those guys together with water and microwave it a couple times, and you're good to go. So this is gelatin that I cut up because it was in a giant bottle, and a small cube like this will only take maybe 8 seconds to melt down, and that's all you need. It doesn't take gelatin very long at all, and you don't want to overheat it, because if you overheat it, it may boil and ruin the gelatin. And also you don't want it to get too hot, because it can and will burn you if it's too hot. So be very careful when heating it up, and only get it warm enough so that it gets melted down, but not too hot that it's actually going to burn your skin. And again, small batches like this are great to work with. You don't want to microwave this whole bowl, because that's going to set and cool before I have a chance to actually do anything with it. So there's that. Other things you want to get are a makeup spatula of some kind like this, or you can get some popsicle sticks. I got a whole bag of these for like $2. I also got a really cheap bunch of brushes that I can play with. I have my nice makeup brushes over there. I, don't feel like ruining those today because it's my first time playing with alcohol activated makeup. Yay! This is kind of a big deal for me. So the Skin Illustrator palettes. I got the Flesh palette here and the Blood palette up there. And those are fantastic because those are some of the most realistic types of makeup that you can get, is the alcohol activated. So I'll be playing with that and getting, of course, the 99% isopropyl alcohol to activate the makeup, because it won't activate without that or the gelled alcohol that I have here. If you don't have alcohol activated, which I don't anticipate anybody does because it's expensive, you can use cream makeup or water-based cake makeup. You could even use rubber mask grease paint if you have that, or you can use cosmetic grade makeup. Just keep in mind that the cosmetic stuff that you buy at the drugstore or at Target or whatever is just not going to have as much coverage, really. It's going to be a little bit harder to use. And you can use eyeshadow palettes, which can be very, very cheap, and use that for your coloring. So that's kind of there. And brushes. So for those that are doing liquid makeup, especially alcohol activated, to get the stippling effect and the layering, we use makeup brushes, and this is what they look like when you get them from the Home Depot or whatever, home improvement store. And then you hack off everything by about 1 inch, and you can dip that in the alcohol and in the alcohol activated makeup, and you just kind of pull it back and you just stipple layers of color onto your face, and it gives you a very realistic skin tone effect. Makeup wedges, and of course Elmer's School Glue, because Robert Englund's version of Phantom doesn't have any eyebrows, so I will be blocking out my eyebrows. Alright, ready to go? Let's go. Okay, to cover your eyebrows, the easiest thing to do is to get some school glue, which is Elmer's all-purpose glue. Non-toxic, of course. And some people were kind of balking at me about using glue to block out your eyebrows at PhantomCon, but trust me, it's perfectly legit, and people on Broadway do it, and all over do it, and drag queens do it. It's fine. Work it into your eyebrow. Don't just go straight back with it. Go in all different directions. Really work it in there. Take an eyebrow comb and go in there and try to flatten it out. Go upward and then go back over it again, as you see me doing there. Trying just to flatten it out. And then what you can do is powder it, like you see me doing. And if you find that your brow hair is still sticking through it after that, then go ahead and repeat the process and put maybe 2 or 3 layers of glue and powder down, and that should take care of the issue. So, yep, looking pretty hot. So both eyebrows blocked out. Now I'm going into the gelatin application. So heating up gelatin in the microwave, just be careful for those that have high power microwaves to not put the gelatin in for very long, because it will get hot, and again, it will burn you if it's too hot. So just be very careful when you apply it. And when you do apply it, slap it on there and just start moving it around. Try to smooth it out as quickly as possible. I haven't done this in a while, so honestly my edges toward the outside were pretty bad. I didn't smooth the gelatin into my skin enough, and I probably should have done that a lot more. But the fun thing about gelatin is that while it's still setting up, you can kind of pull at it like you see me doing, and you can create a lot of really cool textures and effects with it that way. It can be pretty tricky too. Like I actually got it stuck on a couple occasions. I had to rip it off and do it over again. So just be careful because it can be kind of frustrating. But you see me there, I'm doing the forehead now, so it's always a good idea to work in small batches with gelatin. Don't heat up a whole bowl full of it and try to slap it all over your face. Do one section of your face at a time. It's just easier that way, and you can focus more on creating the different effects and pulling the gelatin in different directions, trying to make it look really just gnarly and gross, which I'm doing. And sometimes when you can pull at it, again, when it gets really sticky, it can lift up. So just be careful when you're pulling on it. It's not sticking to itself or sticking to you too much, because if you go and pull your tool away or your finger away, the whole gelatin piece can come up. So just be careful. And you see me just trying to create little holes. Go in there with a popsicle stick and tear some holes open. Just try to create more three-dimensional effects in the makeup that I can go in and then highlight later. Yeah, more popsicle stick action. That's right. Go get it. It's also like 1 o'clock in the morning, guys, so I'm really tired. So if I sound tired, that's why. But this makeup that Robert Englund has in the movie is almost kind of burn-like. And he has it not just on the right side of his face, but also a little patch on the left cheekbone as well. So you see me going in there and basically just repeating the process on the left cheekbone too. So not overly complicated gelatin, just get it warm enough so that it's melted, but not too hot that it's going to burn you. Just be very careful to test it on your skin. Remember that your face is much more sensitive than any other part of your body in terms of temperature. So just what feels good on the back of your hand might be too hot for your face. Once it's good, I powder it, just because it's too sticky that way, so the powder takes care of it being sticky, and sometimes after you powder, it's easier to go in and create more effects like you see me doing there at the left cheek. Try to create some holes. And then when it's powdered, it doesn't pull as much. It's just easier to handle. So, looking really enthused. I probably sound really enthused. Really happy to be here. But really just trying to pull right there and do something a little bit differently, because I think that kind of ended up a little bit flat. And with gelatin, like with silicone too, to some extent, you can blend out bad edges. And of course, I have bad edges all over the place on this thing, and they're too bad, and alcohol is not going to help. But an astringent like alcohol or witch hazel or acetone will actually dissolve the edge on gelatin and silicone a little bit. So if you take it on a Q-tip and you roll it outward, you can dissolve that edge and blend it into your skin more. So that's kind of nice. But again, because I didn't do a good job of blending, it's not going to help. That's my Skin Illustrator palette, and I'm using the Coral Adjuster with the Rose Adjuster to go in and put some more pink into the gelatin, because you see it dries kind of really pale yellow. So to give it some more life and make it look just more realistic, and also to blend it back into my skin a little bit more, I'm using the Coral Adjuster and the Rose Adjuster together to make that happen. So with alcohol activated, the more rubbing alcohol, which is 99% isopropyl alcohol, by the way, the more alcohol you have, the thinner the wash of color. And when I did this initially, because this is my first time using alcohol activated, I really kind of put it on a little bit thick. So I was looking at it, and granted I don't have the greatest light in my place, but it looked really pink. It doesn't look as pink on camera as it did when I was doing it. Right there, it kind of does. But yeah, so even if you're not using alcohol activated, you just need to find a makeup, whether you're using cream makeup or cake makeup or cosmetic makeup. Make sure you take the gelatin back into your skin tone a little bit more, because if it's really yellowy and then you go and you powder it and it's really kind of white now, obviously that doesn't look very realistic. So put some more life back into the gelatin, get some pinks in there, get it looking a little bit more lifelike before we go in there and start adding different effects. You just want to make sure we get a nice little base to work with. So that's what I'm doing, and I have to do that all over the gelatin and into the areas of skin where the gelatin meets the skin to help create a more believable transition from gelatin to skin. Even though I did totally crap edges. They're really bad. They're terrible. Oh man. So here what I'm doing is I decided again, like the rose adjuster was a little too opaque, so I'm going in with basically just straight isopropyl alcohol, 99%, and thinning out the washes on the gelatin, just to make sure they don't look too bright. So I just want to blend everything back, tone it down a little bit, and so it doesn't pop too much, and then looking a little bit better. A little bit happier with that. And here what I'm doing is I'm going in with the rice paper, which is a very light flesh tone in the Gelatin Illustrator flesh tone palette, and I'm just adding some rice paper to the very tops of the gelatin to make the highlights pop a little bit more, those higher areas, because I don't want it to look very flat. I want it to look very three-dimensional. So I'm going to highlight the high areas and put darker colors in the deeper areas just to create more depth and dimension. I will say I really do like the Skin Illustrator palettes, so it's totally worth the money if you think you're going to get into makeup and play with it a lot. So it's fun. It's just a little bit of a learning curve for me because this is my first time using it. So now what I'm doing is just going in and putting down a foundation on the other side of my face where it's mostly not gnarly. I'm used to using makeup wedges. I'll use the sponge here, not the sponge, but the brush here shortly to add some more detail, but I just wanted to get a base color down. And here I am using the brush technique, that chopped off brush. And if you use this with many different colors, kind of one layer at a time, what you can do is create a very realistic skin tone, because again, our skin isn't just one flat color. It's many colors layered on top of one another. So that's one way that the professionals do it, and it's very simple, but it provides a really good effect. And if you want small little dots of color, you don't put a lot of alcohol on there. If you want bigger splotches, then you put a lot more alcohol on there. And just kind of, play with it and get used to the splatter and how it comes off the brush and what kind of effect that you're going for. Here I'm just kind of sprinkling some more, I think that's the rice paper, a little bit more on there, just kind of all around. And as well a slightly darker shade into like my temples, and I'll do it under my jaw. I think I'm doing my temples right there. I also apologize because I can't aim my camera apparently, so this whole tutorial, like I had it all planned out and half my face is missing the entire time because I didn't put the camera down low enough, so I'm sorry. Amateurs. So there I'm just shading my jawline, which is pretty important for the ladies that, we need to create a stronger jawline. So you want to put the shadow underneath as well as square off your jaw a little bit more. So that's one way to do it with a brush versus using a sponge of some kind like I normally do. So that's my Bloody 5 Skin Illustrator blood palette. And what I'm going to do there is put the dried blood, the darkest color red, into the deepest area. And what that does is with, dark colors in the deepest area make it look even more recessed and more sunken in and deeper than it actually is. And I'll do that for all those deeper spots, and I'll even kind of help it out too with a little bit of black as well. But you have to be very careful with the black not to put too much on there. Just enough to give the effect. In the more intermediate areas, you can use a lighter, more fresh blood tone, I suppose you can say. You can see me doing right there. You can see it running a little bit, which I allowed it to do so. I thought that was kind of a neat effect. You'll see in a minute, like I kind of went overboard with it all, and I probably shouldn't have. Overall, the makeup ended up a little bit too red. I wish I had kind of stopped a little bit further along than here. Yeah, like if I had just stopped there, I feel like that would have been fine. But instead of stopping there, I went and added fake blood, and I shouldn't have done that. Oh well. But there you go.
That's kind of what it looked like. Yeah, adequate. Horrible edges. Horrible edges. Like, they're, you know, not bad, but I had the Fleet Street blood, which I was really excited to use, and I got way overboard with it. And I don't even think I used that much, but again, like, I had used so much red in the makeup already, the blood ended up kind of putting it over the top. So, but you can see, again, darker colors, deeper areas, and here what I'm doing with the glycerin is because I see the reference photos of Robert Englund. The gnarly face was kind of glossy, so a little bit of glycerin gives it that shine. It makes it look like the wound is oozing a little bit. Yep, so just kind of dabbing on some glycerin, giving it that kind of oozy look. And even there, I feel like that would have been a good stopping point, but no, I gotta keep going. Know your limits. And with red, you know what, I'd say red's my favorite color. And I was really going for the gory look, and I was trying to be conservative with the red, and I wish I had been more conservative. But it's fine, it's fine. I haven't done this in a while, so. Yeah, not bad. Would have been okay, right there.
Awesome! Wow!
For the record, I love Hamilton. Yep, Fleet Street, dark, drawing blood. Highly recommend it, so.
Okay, everybody, so here's the final look for the Robert Englund Slasher Phantom makeup. Hopefully you got what you needed when you're watching this film. Full disclosure, I haven't used gelatin in years. So, also this was the first time using alcohol-activated makeup, so really probably not my best makeup. It didn't come out as great as I wanted it to, but the goal is just to teach you how to use the gelatin to create this specific look. Again, the silicone, application-wise, is very similar to the gelatin, so you just have to put it on and move it around and create textures before it sets up, and then color it the way that you want to. A caution about fake blood, I think I mentioned it before in the application part of it, but do not go too crazy with the fake blood. So you don't want to cover all the work that you just did, creating these interesting 3D effects with whatever material that you used, by sloshing it and covering it in the fake blood, and because that just ruins everything that you just did. So if you're going to use fake blood, use a little bit of it. Just a little. Don't go nuts. You just want to put the hint there and just create a little bit of an effect without drowning the rest of your work. It's very easy for folks that are just starting out in Halloween makeup or special effects makeup to go a little bit crazy with fake blood, so again, just don't. And it doesn't matter, you know, if you're using the commercial stuff, so I had the Fleet Street Dark Drawing Blood, which I highly recommend. It's very realistic. And if you want to make your own fake blood, it's easy enough to do. Just check out YouTube. They've got a ton of different recipes on there. Anything from Hershey's chocolate syrup and red food coloring to, you know, different types of like Cairo syrup in different colors. Relatively easy to make and not expensive. So, but again, just don't go crazy because you don't want to ruin all your work that you just did by putting too much fake blood on. So, all right. So the rest of the costume, if you're looking to finish it off, it's just a black tailcoat, a cream-colored waistcoat, white tie. He's got this black belt-looking thing that he wears. I don't know why he wears it. It doesn't make any sense to me, but he wears it, so I'm wearing it. Black gloves. And when he goes out, he's got like a black overcoat, cape will work. Black fedora, of course, because there wouldn't be Phantom without the fedora. And this really ridiculous scarf that he wears over the left eye. Which is kind of weird because really the right side of his face is the side that's messed up. But hey, I guess, you know, it leaves this kind of alluring quality to it to have a little bit showing. So, whatever. Alright, so speaking of costume, I think I'm done. I need to go get out of costume because this is really hot. And I don't mean it like, oh, it's kind of attractive hot. I mean it like, this sucks. So, I'm going to go. If you have any questions, there's my email address right there. That's my website. Go check them out. Send me an email. Leave a comment down below in this video. Shoot me an ask on Tumblr, Facebook. There's literally many different ways to contact me, so if you have any questions about anything makeup or costume related for Phantom of the Opera, please give me a shout. I will be happy to help you out and point you in the right direction. And there you go. So just think of it again as this being really, really early for Halloween 2016. So hopefully I'll see some Robert Englund Phantoms out there. Can't wait. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Happy costuming. Hey, you know what's really hard is handling knives with no depth perception, because I can't see. So don't do that. Don't do that. It's bad. It's very bad.